Alright, if you clicked on this video, you've probably gone on tilt recently, or you've definitely gone on tilt a couple of times. And I've gone on tilt many times before. I wish I could go back to my past self and show her this presentation here. Okay. First of all, what is going on tilt? We all know what's going on tilt, right? It's over trading, it's creating a plan, and then when you go to actually execute it, you just do the complete opposite, right? It's blowing many accounts back to back, and it's letting your account bleed and just never stop the bleeding. But I think what going on tilt really is, it's this picture of Shrek here, right? It's just logic, just leaving the room. Just, you're not even thinking straight. But nah, I'm just kidding. What logic really is, it's a combination of two things, right? It's a combination of bad trades and a bad mindset. So, in order to really fix that, what's the opposite, right? Having good trades and having a good mindset. In order to actually understand this, though, you really need to understand the difference between a good and a bad trade, and the difference between a good and a bad mindset in trading. Because I feel like there's this huge misconception in trading where a lot of traders think that a good trade was just a trade where you made money, right? And a bad trade was just a trade where you lost money. Now, while that does seem true on the surface, if you think this way, you're going to stay in a loop and you're going to stay stuck. Okay, you're going to be in that loop of just always focusing on P&L too much, getting greedy, and then going on tilt, right? So, with that in mind, what is a bad trade? Well, a bad trade is many things, and it's going to be different things with every different trader. What I have listed here is basically something that applies to almost 99% of traders, right? Most of this is going to be in your head. Okay, I won't be talking about actual chart stuff today cuz I just feel like psychology is more important than that, at a certain point in trading. Okay, at first, of course, like the charts are more important, but after you already know what you're doing, then you have to focus on your mindset. Okay, but what is a bad trade? It's a quick trade, and I don't mean like a quick scalp. I mean a trade that wasn't even planned, right? And you decided to take it without even thinking, right? It was a split second decision. It was a very quick trade you didn't even know you were going to take, right? It's a trade where there is no logic, right? Is that Shrek photo? It's just like a trade where you weren't even thinking straight. And then after you take the trade, you're just like, why did I take that? Like that makes zero sense. I've taken many trades, even recently. No, not recently. I can't even say that. I would say a couple months ago where I try to recap the trade and I'm like, why did I take this trade? Recently it hasn't happened, but before it definitely did. Like I was in the right headspace. Okay, a bad trade, we all know, is a over leveraged trade. Specifically not knowing how much you're risking, right? You're just adding contracts like crazy. And I feel like it's easier to do this with Tradeovate, Ninja Trader, or just a broker that you can't see your P&L on your stop loss, which is why I really like Platform X, because on your stop loss you can see how much you're actually risking, which is very helpful. Okay, and then a bad trade is also one where you kind of ignored your stop loss, right? You either moved your stop loss further down or further from your original stop loss, or you just take it out, right? You're just like YOLO, whatever happens, and it looks something like this, right? Negative risk reward ratio. You're targeting less than what you're potentially going to lose. When I see traders have a negative RR, I don't understand it. I really don't. Why would you overcomplicate it like that? Because The reason I always preach like take a 1 to 2 is because a 1 to 2, literally if you win 40% of the time, you're still going to be profitable, right? That's why I always preach like, have a good risk reward ratio. That way you don't have to stress on your winning rate. Okay, but a bad trade is also a trade that you chased. Now, don't get me wrong, chasing trades sometimes is definitely a W. Like, sometimes you get in a crazy pump, you kind of chase it, and you caught a bag. Like, you made 1K or 5K, who knows? But most of the time, when you FOMO into a trade and it doesn't go in your way, it's gonna cause you to tilt, right? Because it's something that you were thinking on the profit more than you were thinking about the loss. And then risk reward was gone. But what does that say? But you couldn't sit on your hands. Yeah, it's just a trade that looks so tempting we just hop in on, you know? And I don't know if you guys know, but whenever you chase someone, they run away, right? If you're a guy and you tried to get with a girl and she was like, ew, get away from me, it's because you were chasing her, right? And you didn't attract her. It's kind of the same thing with trading. If you chase something, it's just gonna go further away. Okay, it's gonna run away from you. All right, but what is a good trade? It's basically just the opposite of what a bad trade is, right? It's a planned out trade. It's a trade where you already knew you were gonna take it, right? Like even before you took it, it was already a plan. It was already up here. And I always say, well, not always, I recently just thought about this, but you get deja vu from a really good trade because it's a setup that you've taken multiple times. And if you're at the point in trading where, I don't know, you recently have experienced deja vu, you need to write that down. You need to take a picture of the trade because it's a pattern or it's something that's going to repeat itself many, many times. Okay? Deja vu is good in trading. Trust me. All right, it's a trade where you stayed disciplined, right? You didn't overtrade, forced setups, you passed on mediocre trades, and took only high probability setups. I should have put this in bold because it's so key, right? If you just focus on taking actual good setups, your trading will naturally get better, right? Because you're choosing quality trades over how many trades you're going to take, right? Quality over quantity. A good trade is also a trade where risk was managed. You didn't risk that much. If you took the loss, you moved on, right? Because the loss was controlled. Your risk was managed. So it's easier to take the loss, move on, and not go on tilt, right? Not seek revenge. Okay, but a good trade is also, oh, I kind of just talked about this, is just taking a loss and taking it like a pro, right? Trade hit your stop loss, no problem. It was part of the game, right? That's why in each trading plan, risk management is there. That's why you have a stop loss in the first place, because we know losses are part of the game. So why get so upset over a loss when we already knew it most likely was going to happen? If you're getting upset over a loss, most likely it's going to be because it wasn't planned, right? It was a bigger loss than planned or something. Or you didn't really want to take it, okay? A good trade is also a trade where you waited for confirmation, right? You didn't jump in early and try to predict the markets. No, you waited for price action to confirm your thesis, your strategy, your entry, whatever it is. And by waiting for confirmation, you can avoid getting faked out, especially with the recent markets. Okay, there's been a lot of fake outs. And what has been helping me to still be green in a shitty market is waiting for confirmation. Okay. And then up here, this is actually a trade that I took this morning, which was a 2.44 RR. So beautiful trade. It was a simple A plus orb setup. This is like a mini trade recap that I posted in my community for the students. And it's so simple, right? We have the orb, 5 minute candle close, continuation, which was my entry, but it was also my confirmation. And then RR was a 1 to 2, which is perfect because that's all you need. Okay? There's no reason for me to get greedy. This is funny. Okay, let's talk about this. What is a bad trading mindset? Damn, let me try zooming in on this because I think this is key. Is this right here? This is a bad trading mindset. Okay, I think about P&L too, but if you're thinking about this all day, and notice how it's huge numbers, right? If you're thinking about this all day, you have a bad mindset. You just do. I'm sorry. I know with trading, like there is many different there's the sky's the limit with trading. Like I know it, but if you're just obsessed with a high P&L, you're gonna get cooked easily because you have so many emotions attached to it, right? A bad trading mindset is an outcome obsessed, right? You just judge your trade based on the loss, based on the profit, instead of execution, right? Instead of the actual trade itself. And I kind of just talked about this too. You're focused on the money too much. I know trading is basically all about money and it kind of, right? Like I know it is. That's the point why we all started to trade, but if you're thinking about that, your P&L is going to affect you a little too much, okay? Right. So it's focused on how much money you could potentially make instead of how much money you're going to lose. You have to go into every single trade with confidence, but also with, you know, knowing that if it does hit stop loss, it's fine because I'm fine with taking this loss, right? You have to make sure your losses aren't going to set too many emotions. Okay, quick money, right? Or getting quick rich. Quick money is going to leave the same way you got it. With trading, with, I don't know, things in life. No, I just thought about like it's this quote about like, oh, if you get your girlfriend while they were cheating, that's how you're gonna lose them. Something like that. I was gonna say it's like trading, but zero correlation there. Okay, but it makes sense, right? If you make $1,000 ASAP, you're going to try to get another $1,000 ASAP. So you might as well lose it ASAP, right? Because again, logic is gonna leave the window. All you're gonna be thinking about is your P&L. Okay, and then a bad trading mindset. This is a funny one here. Is the blaming market. We all know kind of people that just never blame themselves, always complaining. Ugh. It I don't know about you guys. I don't like those type of people. I actually know a couple, but I can't really do much. Um anyways, blaming the market is such a bad thing to do because you're not taking any accountability for what you're doing, right? With trading, trading is one of the only things where you can only blame yourself, right? Yes, the market is going to screw you over sometimes. Yes, I don't know, you might be liquidity, who knows? Yes, it's going to happen, but if you're always blaming something else besides yourself, you're going to get cooked. Okay, you're going to go on tilt very easily. You're going to get frustrated with the markets very easily. Okay, again, remember, trading is all on you. You're the only one clicking buy or sell 99% of the time. Okay, and then last thing here for a bad trading mindset, every day is a trading day. And I've talked about this before, and I've gotten a bunch of comments just saying, what do you mean every day is a trading day? They're cooked. I know they are because not every day the market is going to give you what you want. I don't know about you guys, but in a slow, choppy market, most of the time I'm not going to get the setup that I'm looking for because the market is slow. okay, especially with recent markets. Um, but if you have the every day is a trading day mentality and you feel the need to trade daily, right? Even in bad conditions, you can't sit on your hands or even wait for a high quality setup. Again, like you're definitely gonna bleed a lot when it comes to P&L, right? Because you're gonna take mediocre setups over high quality setups. If you do that, most likely you're gonna lose more than you should. Okay, you're doing too much. So, what is a good trading mindset? Let's zoom into this photo here because I actually really, I love this photo here. It's trading strategy and theory, trading strategy and practice. This is what you want to do here. Okay, you want to plan out your strategy or setup like this, right? You want to study your setup, right? I just showed you guys a picture of my kind of trade recap. That's me kind of journaling. That's me studying my setup, right? This is you want to study your setup like this. You want to plan out your trading like this, right? And I don't just mean like once a month. I mean almost every day. Every day that you take a trade, okay, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Always be a student of your own trading. Okay, but anyways, you plan like a pro, you execute like a businessman, you execute like a prop firm. Or sorry, no, what do you call it? The traders at the actual Wall Street? Yeah, that's how you want to trade. Okay, the Patrick here looks pretty bored, which is actually pretty funny because that's how good trading is going to be. Good trading should be boring. Okay, unfortunately, it just should. Because 99%, no, 99. I would say about 80%, no, 90% of trading is waiting. Especially recently. Like I said, like the markets have been pretty slow. I've had to wait a bunch for my setups. Again, like sometimes I don't even trade. All right, but back to this good trading mindset. I have a long term mindset. Okay, I'm thinking about my next 100 trades and my past 100 trades, right? I'm not thinking about my last two trades or my next two trades. I am zoomed out, right? I'm locked into the long term vision. Okay, I'm not thinking about the losses I took, I don't know, 2 days ago, right? No, I'm zoomed out, right? If I zoom out and look at the past 100 trades, I can see, wow, every time I take an A plus setup, almost 60-70% of the time I win. Something like that. Cuz especially when you've taken 2-3 losses in a row, you definitely start to overthink, right? And that's when you need to zoom out and be like, "Whoa, I'm actually a good trader," right? Yesterday doesn't define me as a trader. The past couple of months do. Okay? Process over outcome. I'm focused on executing my strategy correctly, not just wins or losses, staying productive throughout the day. I should have also put this in bold here. Staying productive throughout the day is so key because once you catch your 1 to 2, that's when you should walk away and call it a day. Because when you win a jackpot at the casino, if you stay there, you're most likely going to lose more money, right? It's the same thing with trading. The longer you're on the charts, the more trades you take. The more trades you take, the more likely you are to lose money. Okay, it just makes sense, right? And I put staying productive throughout the day because once I take my 1 to 2, I need to be doing other things. I can't just be sitting in the charts, okay? It's just going to be pointless and it's going to lead me to, being delusional and being like, oh, I like this setup. Let me take it, right? Instead of just going on about the day, doing other things, being productive, especially if you want to be a full-time day trader and like not work a 9 to 5, you need to stay busy as a trader. Okay. Risk first mentality. Always protect capital, preserve your ammo so you can stay in the game, right? Every time I take a trade, trust me, yes, I'm thinking about the profit, but I'm thinking more about how much I could potentially lose on it because I want to control it, right? I want to control the losses. I want to make sure that if I take a loss, I'm going to be fine with it, right? And a good trading mindset, this is also very key, is trading is confidence without ego. Because while yes, I am very confident in my trading, if my ego gets in the way, then I'm going to get in my own way, right? If I have an ego, I might full port and then lose the account. I can't be so confident that I have a huge ego in trading. You can't, right? You just have to trust your edge, but stay humble because the markets can always humble you, right? I don't know about you guys, but there's been many times where I've full ported and the market humbled me, right? I got way too cocky, way too confident. So, yeah, just because I'm a confident trader does not mean I'm full porting, okay? I also, well, this is my P&L last month. Notice how, yes, I had green days. Also, this was a slow month. But even though I had green days, it's not like I was full porting. Like, again, I was thinking more about the losses than the wins. Like, risk management wise. Not like all these 3 red days I was, very upset over it. Yes, I was a tiny bit upset, but it's not like, it really got to me. Okay, but next topic, patience and adaptability. Patience to wait for your A plus setups. A good trader doesn't trade often. They trade. What? Why did I write that? A good trader doesn't trade often. They trade well. Not sure where I meant there. I'm gonna have to fix that. And then for adaptability, I just put if the markets change, adjust. Stubbornness kills accounts. Recently, I've had to adapt so much, but luckily, I've done a really good job at it. Why? Because I've been very patient. Okay, so now that we know, what's a good trade and what's a good mindset, now we can create a little tilt prevention system here. Or, this is basically just a map to getting payouts, right? This is how I'm thinking about it. Of course, like there's more things I could add to this. I just added kind of the basics, I guess you could say. And let's zoom in here. I think that would be easier. So, number one, I think is very key is having a mental reset in the morning, right? Before trading. Cuz I know a lot of people like live across the world and when they trade it's not in the morning. So, I would if you're like that, I would just do like a mental reset specifically before trading. If you can do it in the morning, like of course, that's an amazing way to start your day, but you have to make sure you're in the right headspace before you actually start trading, right? So for me, I have a pre-market routine. This is going to be different for everyone. I've talked about my pre-market routine many times. And your pre-market routine should be something that just kind of wakes you up and helps you be more self-aware, okay? And of course, don't wake up and just hop on the charts. I used to be this person because I used to think that, I'm just clicking a button, not really remembering that my brain is doing all the work, right? If my brain isn't woken up and I'm trading sleepy, I'm trading not at my, best potential, okay? So I wake up and get ready for the charts, okay? Because again, like if you rush to be on the charts, you're also going to be rushed to take trades. And I put this here because this is how you want to show up to the markets, right? You want to show up to the markets just ready for business, okay? Number 2, define your boundaries, right? Or define your trading plan. Okay, know your max limit. or sorry, know your daily loss limit. Know your max daily loss. Know how many trades you're going to take max, right? Or how many trades you're going to lose in a row. Something like that. You have to know when you should be in the market and when you shouldn't be in the market. You also have to know your A plus setup. In my community, I make this such a huge thing because once you understand your A plus setup, you're changing, or sorry, your trading is going to change for the better, because once you know what you're looking for, all you're going to have to do is just wait for it. Okay. Number 3, take a pause after trades. Okay. This is going to prevent jumping in and out of trades. And it's also going to help you just think. Yeah, this is wrong here. Help you take more thought out of trades. What? I wrote this wrong. My bad. It's going to help you think more. Oh, helps you take more thought out trades. Jeez. I'm very slow. I'm sorry for that. Yes, it's going to help you take more thought out trades, right? If you're going in and out of trades, you're chasing price. You have to be like this, right? You have to be being patient for it. If you are jumping in and out of trades, it's like being a confused person, right? Am I going here? Am I going here? I don't know. It If you're doing this, you tell yourself to stop. Whoa, let me take a breather here. What am I doing? Okay? Number 4, recognize your tilt triggers. One of my tilt triggers is, I've noticed, and I'll talk about it right now, I guess, because I haven't talked about it recently. This day on the 29th, May 29th, I lost $670. I don't know if you can see it, but this day I actually lost 7 trades. So this day, I was up $1,000, and what happened was, one of my tilt triggers was, I was I was frustrated, and I was frustrated with something that had zero to do with trading, right? So one of my triggers is just outside life, and then like letting it affect my mind and my trading. Like, I was really in a bad headspace this day. And you can see like 7 trades. Let me zoom in more. Okay, hopefully you can see that. 7 trades. I've never taken that much trades in a day, at least for this month. The most trades I took in a week was 5, and I took 7 trades in one day. So this was kind of one of my tilt days, I will agree, but it's not like an insane tilt where I lost, my whole funded account. It was just a pretty bad red day. Um and yeah, I guess you could say I went on tilt, but I learned so much this day. It's insane. And I'm very thankful that I had a pretty good green day after this. But notice, I only took one trade, right? I was focused on my A plus setup. I was focused on catching just that, right? And I caught it, and I did. Okay, I was patient. Well, let's go to back to number 4 here. One of these could be your potential, triggers, is taking back to back losses. I should also add in here, getting into a trade and then like stop loss immediately getting hit. It's the worst feeling. And that's definitely, it could be a trigger, okay? Missing a move and trying to make it back, breaking your plan and wanting to fix it with another trade, feeling frustration, anxiety, or the urgency to act, right? Or the urgency to make money. That could be one of your triggers, okay? And then once you know your triggers, this is going to help you just kind of be more self-aware, okay? And when you're self-aware, let's say you took back-to-back losses, and you're very aware that, okay, this is one of my triggers. Let me take a breather. Or you know what? Let me just call it a day here. So I want to stop the bleeding here, But for number 5, I have end of day review slash journal and deep journal, right? You don't just want to journal silly things like I went long and short here. You want to journal, okay, boom, this is why I did this. This is why I did that. I could have done this differently. Next time I'm going to do this, right? Or a way I love to journal, which I kind of just showed you guys, is just actually breaking down my trade, right? And I'll show it. Oh my god, let me zoom out here. Okay, let me go back. Um, right here. Like, this is such a good way to journal, is just breaking down your own trade. All right. But, and I also wrote, never stop studying your own trading, right? Always learn from yourself as a trader. And that's literally what I'm doing, right? And I show it every day live to my community. They've seen the bad, they've seen the good, and they can tell you, right? They can tell you I'm always trying to just learn from everything, every loss, every win. I'm like a student of myself, and that's how you need to be, right? You never want to stop being a student ever. You never want to stop learning, because when you learn, it just makes you better, right? You want to study, study, study. How can I study my trading? Boom, journal, right? And then all of these things really won't matter unless you actually execute your plan. I don't know about you guys. I used to make so many different training plans and not follow a single one. Okay, if I simply just executed my plan, if I simply just did the things that I said I was going to do, I would have been successful a couple of years ago. Like, I would have been successful so much faster. And it's just that simple. I just needed to execute my plan. Like, actually. Okay, and then if you actually execute all of this, this is going to be you driving in a G Wagon on your way to getting payouts, right? Getting funded, getting huge payouts, getting green months. And it's that simple, okay? Don't overcomplicate your trading. I know social media could make it kind of tough sometimes because we see, you know, I've seen a lot of things on social media recently that I feel like just aren't healthy for traders, because it gives a bad, it's just a bad misconception to think a good trade is just a trade where you made money, because I've taken good trades and I've still lost them, right? Like, it happens. And you need to understand, my A plus setup will lose sometimes, but I know if I just trust this setup, if I just do this, I'm gonna succeed, right? Like, it's really that simple. Um, but this was it, right? This was a very educational, thought out presentation, and I honestly enjoyed doing this presentation. I feel like it could help a bunch of traders. And I just want to thank you for watching. You know, if you got something out of this video, please subscribe. Okay, show some love, please. But for the people that have already been supporting me, I just want to thank you guys. And yeah, if you want to trade live with me or get on one-on-one calls with me, the link is below. If you join my community, then you get basically access to me. You can schedule a call with me, DM me, whatever you need. All right, but thank you guys for watching, and I love you guys.